What's up, everybody? It is the Best Spot Kid Smooth, and I am back with another video. Man, I've been trying my best to be a law-abiding citizen and not, piss anybody off, not, involve myself in the fanboy antics and stuff like that, letting people say whatever they want to say without me having an opinion or a significant response. You know what I mean? It's been, keeping to myself, trying to figure out, man, what do I really want to do with YouTube and Twitter as I get bored with these things. But so, the usual suspects on Twitter do what they do. They watch, Xbox podcasts, they watch PlayStation podcasts, and then they look for the take that they can most resonate with, and they share it. They isolate it. And this time, Colin Moriarty, this isn't new, this isn't rare, this is often, this is probably like every other podcast that you get a take from Colin Moriarty that he says something that pretty much, talks about Xbox that PlayStation fans can run with, because they treat Colin Moriarty as if he's a god, as if he's some staple to sort of like his opinion is the only valid opinion and it's the only one that counts. You can't say nothing against it. You can't rebut it, whatever. So Nick Marcelli, he's the one that shared this clip, but this came from, I think, Sacred Symbols. We're going to watch it and listen to it because that's just what I like to do before I kind of get my thoughts together.
And I don't care if people disagree with it or not, just it's my opinion, I guess, but it's just like they have nothing that's on the level of PlayStation's best games. Nothing. Like, you can compare your racing games, I guess, but that's about as far as it goes, in my opinion. And if you're looking for quality AAA expensive games, Xbox still hasn't proven that they can do it. And I think that the games are in development, just wondering where they are, and we'll see. It's been 4 years since they bought. Remember that fire sale of teams that they bought?
Yeah,
it's too long.
It's just confused. I feel like they just hire qualified people, but they don't hire the right people.
Okay, shut up. All right. So now, honestly, just to give you guys my thoughts on this, I had no issue with what Colin said. I don't have a thought whether I agree or disagree with him. He's entitled to his own opinion. I didn't react to the video because he said, this is my opinion. It's his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion. He has a right to have an opinion. It is what it is. It's when other people take his opinion and others' opinions and run around as like, this is the facts. He said this, so this is it. And so when I saw the video, I was like, okay, I really have no issue with what he said, especially this year. I can't say anything. Xbox hasn't released anything significant or anything this year, so I really don't have an issue with that. So the response I did give was, because as I thought about it, I was like, well, now that I think about it, Xbox and PlayStation don't make the same games. So I understand. I was like, okay, well, maybe they make the games he likes. So can he really say Xbox doesn't make quality games? Because when I look at it, Xbox doesn't have a Xbox version of a PlayStation game. Xbox doesn't have like a Last of Us game. They don't have a Ghost of Tsushima. They don't have a what else do they make? Like, they don't have like a Horizon or whatnot. They have other games. They're in, and I just realized PlayStation doesn't have games that Xbox makes. So I'll show you what my tweet was, right? This was my tweet, and I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see it here, right? Because Nick loved this. He loved it. He says Colin Moriarty's on Xbox AAA games compared to PlayStation, right? My response. This is probably the most logical response I could come up with. I said, I wanted to say, but I'm gonna read what I said. It's his opinion. Xbox doesn't make the same type of games PlayStation makes, and PlayStation doesn't make the games Xbox makes. Xbox has a lot of strategy, survival, and high replay value games. PlayStation focuses on story-driven action-adventure games. Both will do other genres very soon. And I say that because PlayStation has announced that they got so many like games as a service games in the works for over the next 4 years, and Xbox has already revealed a lot of single-player, story-driven games already. So we know it's coming. So in current state, Xbox has a lot of multiplayer strategy, all this other type of games, where PlayStation has a lot of single player, like story-driven action adventure game. I didn't think my take was wrong or bad. It wasn't defending Xbox. It was just like, okay. Because at the end of the day, I'll tell you guys this. I do prefer action adventure games of all genres. They are my favorite genre. PlayStation, they focus on my favorite genre. I would prefer those type of games. So that's why I can understand if somebody says, well, I don't like survival, or I don't like Sims, or I don't like strategy, RTS, or RPG, or whatever. So you can say, if you like, you're gonna have a bias towards the games that PlayStation makes. PlayStation makes graphically good games. They are deep story driven. They use their resources very well, being connected to the movie industry and whatnot. So I can understand that, but I don't agree. I do not agree. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can go, I don't agree with Colin, but you know what I mean? What I'm gonna say is, I'm not wrong in my response. Colin's not wrong. Opinions can't be wrong. Opinions can't be wrong, right? The best you can do with an opinion, you can either agree or you can disagree. That's all. But people on a platform of Twitter don't know how to agree or disagree. You have to ride PlayStation's you have to ride PlayStation's nuts on this app so hard to be socially accepted. It's annoying. And I'm actually annoyed. So I'm getting through the day and I'm looking at the responses that I'm getting. I'm like, why everybody responding to me? Why? Like, I didn't say anything. You get my podcast mate from Weapon Wheel Podcast, BG, saying, I mean, shit, this dude should still be on vacation, but he had time to do this shit. He says, even in the categories you named, Xbox hasn't made the best games there. Xbox doesn't have a reputation for making the best games in anything outside of Forza. Okay, you see, it's like, is that even fucking needed though? Is it needed? Because if I wanted to be petty, which I did get petty a little bit later, if I want to be petty, you can say the same thing about PlayStation. PlayStation makes great games, but they're not the best in its genre. I can name a bunch of zombie games better than fucking Days Gone. I can name a bunch of freaking hero games better than Spider-Man. I can name a bunch of racing games better than GT. They're not the cream of the crop. They put out quality content. I like their content, but since when is it the best at? What the fuck is the PlayStation the best at? The best at? What are they the best at? You know what I mean? They tell a good story, great. But as far as games, you know what I mean? Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, I like Horizon Zero Dawn. I didn't care for Forbidden West. It was boring. But I can name a bunch of action RPGs that game is considered better than that game. I can name a platformer better than Ratchet and Clank. So all these replies to me are just people just freaking soaking in PlayStation juices, and they can't handle that I'm not agreeing. Like, I don't understand the notion that everything has to be, you have to be a PlayStation. His main issue was quality. Xbox has quality games. You may not like them, but there are quality games. The person that defines quality is the person that's using the content. I think this shirt I got on is a quality shirt. I think this is a quality hat. I think these are quality headphones. Like, I get so annoyed on this app. Like, and it's only when it comes to the gaming. I think gamers on this app are fucking nuts. I think something is wrong with them, because when it comes to PlayStation, right? There's this this opinion, this I don't know, there's something wrong with people's brains where if you're not riding with like PlayStation, if you're not praising PlayStation, you're like, it's nothing. Your opinion doesn't matter. You're not allowed to speak. Your social credit score is going down the drain. And this is the reason. This is exactly how these PlayStation fanboys get freaking catfish so easily. You know what I mean? This is exactly because they ride on a thing that either praises PlayStation or shits on Xbox. So, just to get to the point, right, about Colin and why I can disagree and why I think my point is more valid. PlayStation doesn't have a counter to Flight Sim. GT is not better than any Forza game. I don't care. I don't care how many players play it. I don't care how the graphics look in its photo mode. GT, in my opinion, is not better than Forza. I think Forza, historically, and commercially, critically, has been a better game than Gran Turismo for about a decade. So that's what I got on my side. But when you consider what this dude's talking about, Colin, and Xbox they don't make their games aren't as good as PlayStation. That's his opinion. That's pretty fair. But only thing I can go by is last year Xbox won Publisher of the Year. Metacritic gave him that score. Why did Metacritic give him that award? Because Xbox games rated higher than all the PlayStation games last year. It's not Xbox's fault that the games Xbox release are in genres that PlayStation barely does. PlayStation doesn't have an answer to Halo Infinite. Even though people try to shit on Halo Infinite now, at the end of the day, it was a good game. Great campaign, great solid multiplayer. But since we pretty much in this thing where it's a game as a service and we only judge player counts as a thing, so we kind of ignore everything else. I thought Halo Infinite was pretty good, and I was the only one. The game was an 87, 88 on Metacritic. Sorry. Forza Horizon 5, we already know that was like a 93, 92 on Metacritic. We know Flight Sim was a 90 on Metacritic. We know Psychonauts 2 was an 80, I think 7 on Metacritic, or no, not, I'm bugging, not 87, an 89 on Metacritic or something like that. We know Age of Empires was like an 80s game or something like that. The PlayStation last year was carried by their best games. Ghost of Tsushima, which was an early remaster of a PlayStation 4 game for the PS5, the director's cut. Same thing with Death Stranding, an early remaster, a PlayStation 5 version of a game that they released. Sorry, those games didn't break. I mean, they scored what they would have scored regardless. Somewhere in the 80s. Ratchet & Clank wasn't the best platformer to come out the year that it did. What else did PlayStation have? Returnal. Returnal was hot garbage. So, the thing is, Xbox put out better games than PlayStation last year. Now, you can say what you want this year. Xbox hasn't put out anything. So, anything is better than nothing. So, I have nothing to say about 2022. But what I got to say is, Colin is not right or wrong. I will disagree. I feel like Xbox makes a lot of games that PlayStation doesn't make. And PlayStation makes a lot of games that Xbox doesn't make. But Xbox still has access to those type of games because third party makes them. Ubisoft makes a lot of PlayStation games. Freaking Square Enix makes a lot of PlayStation type games. Rockstar, who else? There's a ton of studios that make and developers that put out games that PlayStation makes, because PlayStation pretty much focuses on one style of games. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with that. They're good games. You know what I mean? But Days Gone ain't the best of its kind. The Last of Us is probably one game I can say is probably the best of its kind. Probably the best of its kind. The Last of Us Part 2, because I think that was a benchmark game. I give Naughty Dog all their credit for that. But Uncharted is in a genre I really like. Tomb Raider type games. I like Uncharted, I like Tomb Raider. But I look at them as the same. I get just as hype as I get for Uncharted, I get for Tomb Raider. Maybe Tomb Raider a little bit more, because I know Lara Croft more or longer than I knew of a Nathan Drake. But I didn't care for Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think PlayStation is the king of samurai games. I don't think PlayStation is the king of fantasy action games. God of War isn't like, despite I know all of its awards and stuff like that, but God of War, it's not the best of its kind. Does it have a great story? Yes. Graphically, it looked good. Gameplay is cool, but the gameplay wasn't brand new. Gameplay borrowed gameplay from a bunch of games that already exist. This game got the biggest bell curve I've seen on the planet. Dude, God of War had so many repeat bosses and lack of variety in enemies. It literally was like, I don't know what it was, but the game was overrated. And I'm not afraid to say that. God of War was overrated. The Last of Us Part 1 was overrated. It was great, but it was overrated by the standards that PlayStation guys put it up there. So, yeah. Colin, he's entitled to his opinion. I'm entitled to mine. But what I'm going to say is I'm not going to sit here and let all these, groupies on Twitter, talk all this shit because I disagree. Because right now, the thing people got mad at me because I mistakenly said Marvel's Avengers was better than Spider-Man. I didn't mean Marvel's Avengers. I'm going to make that clear. I meant Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is arguably, to me, I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And I think it was just as good as Spider-Man. I can understand if someone else may think it's better than Spider-Man. Spider-Man probably has more replay value, so we'll give it the nods there. But as far as that's why I was making a point is I don't think PlayStation makes the best hero games. No, I still think the Arkham series were pretty damn good. I think, and I thought the Guardians of the Galaxy was a pretty damn good game. Spider-Man isn't bad, but like I said, PlayStation outside of Spider-Man and Gran Turismo, most of PlayStation games are like kind of copy and paste of the same thing. They make one type of games. Action adventure. I like action adventure, so I don't sweat them for it. But for them people to use that, if you say, okay, action adventure game is better than any of these genres that Xbox participate in, more power to you. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. You know what I mean? I'm more likely to buy an actual action adventure game over an RTS. I'm more likely to buy a first person shooter over a freaking JRPG. You know what I mean? So, like, we all entitled to our opinion. It just for some reason, though, I don't understand how this sensible reply gets so much damn hate. But that's my video. Let me know your thoughts on Colin's words in the comment section below. And if you disagree with me or my take, let me know in the comment section below. We could talk about it. We got Planet Xbox podcast tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Xbox Game Showcase. And after that, I'll be going live with you guys on Sunday, God willing. But thank you guys for checking out the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, or see me on Twitter. Xbox is the best box. I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.